Hello, everyone. Welcome to Film Frauds, the YouTube show where we give our completely unprofessional and biased opinions on the films of today, tomorrow, and yesteryear. My name is Matt, and with me, as always, are my fellow film Freudians, Mark and Tyler. And today, we're talking about a movie that Tyler recommended for us to watch. Tyler, what movie are we watching, or did we watch?
One of my favorite movies of the 2010s, and one of my favorite movie 2016 is a movie called La La Land. It's directed by Damien Chazelle. As you can see, I am a big fan of all of his movies. I know First Man gets a lot of criticism, but these are basically all A movies, I think, just kind of like on a different little scale. But basically, La La Land's a love letter to Hollywood, with starring really great performances from Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone as two people who are trying to make their own career in Hollywood. Ryan Gosling's trying to open a jazz bar or jazz club, and Emma Stone, I don't know if I said Emma Stone, but she's trying to be an actress. It's basically how their stories kind of cross, what happens with that, and it's also a musical, but it's also not really a musical at a certain point. This movie is phenomenal. I love almost every single thing about this. Every aspect of it, I think, is well done. And this is one of my favorite movies ever. I adore this movie. But it's also a movie that I know one person here doesn't like a lot, and that would be Matt. And Matt, why don't you like this movie a lot?
I think it's mediocre. I think that the fact that people pretend like it's a really great movie makes me not like it as much. It's for full disclosure, like I've been working like on plays for a long time because I did stage crew in high school and we worked a lot of musicals then. So I think I'm just biased towards being like in the theater and watching musicals through like at a live show and seeing like the stage and everything. And I think that the movie is all right, but I just feel detached from it because it's not even because it's a movie, because I like other musicals that are on movies, but I don't know, something about the music I think is very overrated, and like the whole romance plot I think is underdeveloped and kind of is like the lamest part of the movie.
I could not disagree more.
Yeah, I fully disagree with everything you
Yeah.
just said.
Well, you guys are gonna be proven wrong tonight, so it's fine.
All right, let's do it. We're going to war.
I literally, like, if you don't like this movie, I don't trust you. I just don't see how you could not like it.
Yeah.
Is this a movie that you actually like, or is this a movie you just gave 4 to 5 stars to because
No, I didn't fall asleep in it, and it's a 5 out of 5.
This well, like I also don't get how you can't appreciate this movie on like a technical level too, because
I didn't say I didn't.
I feel like the technical element kind of elevates this movie a lot, because I was really about the first hour and 15 minutes. I noticed there's maybe one or two only kind of reverse shot kind of dialogue scenes. Everything else is kind of a really fluid camera. It's creative kind of directing style. It really it elevates the movie from kind of, I feel like, the generic romance, which you kind of think it is, to kind of something a little bit deeper.
Did you like the opening scene where they didn't film at the right time, so the sun's in everyone's faces
at one point? I liked how it was
the other part.
I like how it was all in one take.
Technical filmmaking that you appreciate.
I like how it was all in one take, made to look in one take, and it's a great song and it's great performance, and it kind of establishes the fantasy element of the world.
By making everything look like it's in dark shadows.
But I mean, if a one scene is ruined out of a shadow, then I think you got bigger issues then.
Well, I mean, when it's the intro to the movie, and you just said that everything about the movie is technically perfect.
It's a shadow. It's not. What about the camera of it?
Opening
what about the great song?
The movie that's supposed to be a happy song, and everyone just like looks like they're in complete darkness.
Mark,
it just looks
come
like
to my defense.
Hallway. It just looks like a regular highway in LA.
I do not have a problem with that opening scene. I'm not sure what you're griping about.
I think it's pretty obvious.
I never what problem you have with this scene I never picked up on, so I'd have to take another look at it. Yeah, I agree with Tyler.
Yeah, this movie's like, I mean, everything about this movie is just, I feel like, excellent. One, it also feels like it's two separate movies, and I think that's a benefit to it, because there's this really like a common criticism of the movie is the fact that it kind of glamorizes Hollywood, where a movie like we had with like Boogie Nights or something even more recent that came out a few years after, Star is Born, kind of show like the price of fame. like an actual like realistic price of fame. Boogie Nights is very much kind of like the influence of drugs and kind of like,
Cautionary tale.
yeah, and Star is Born is kind of the realistic kind of addiction of drugs and alcohol and how that impacts someone. While in La La Land, it's very much they can't be together, and there's not that kind of realistic element. But I don't think it takes away from any story. I don't think every movie has to be that kind of gritty, realistic, and I feel like they established that with the fantasy element. That hey, this is
I just
not.
said that my problem with the opening scene is that it feels too realistic. That there's something very special about it.
Everyone's in bright colors dancing on the freeway, and when
There's
they open it,
there's generic cars and poor lighting, and it just looks like they're on a high. It just looks like they're on a highway in LA.
but that's the point. It's the realistic combined with the fantasy. They go to the planetarium later in the movie, and then they fly in the clouds. I mean,
You got to intro the movie with something fantastical. You can't
that
intro
is
the movie with
fantastical,
a lame,
and at least a grounded
with
reality
a lame
sense.
looking highway.
Oh my god! So you're
Well,
immediately.
it's like one of the biggest highways in Los Angeles, right? I mean,
It also establishes the location when the characters first meet.
yeah.
It's called La La Land.
Where
Yeah.
would you rather?
Because
Where would
we
you
know
rather
it's
the
in
scene
LA.
be? Where would you rather the scene be?
He wants it to be
I'd
in a
rather
coffee
it not
shop.
be on a highway. They can film it on a highway. Just make it look interesting.
It was interesting.
It
I
was
don't understand
interesting.
what about it was not interesting.
I
Oh, because it was
explained it
too
at the
dark.
beginning of the episode.
That
Yeah,
it's
it was
just,
too dark.
It was too
Okay.
dark on one side.
Matt. Why don't you think the first scene is interesting? Lay it out right now. Lay it out one more
Okay.
time.
The lighting is awful.
Okay.
The cars, the highway just looks like a regular highway,
Okay.
and it's lame.
Okay.
And song isn't that great.
So
And
your issues are. But what do you think about kind of the music? What do you think about the directing? What do you think about the costumes? Because this movie, by the way, won an Oscar for production design. It was.
must have been a bad year for production design and film.
I think it was a great year. Actually.
I think it was a great year actually, because La La Land won. So what do you think? So it's just the fact that there's lighting, and you don't like the fact that it's on a real highway.
Well, that's trivializing it. I'm saying that you're saying that this is like a fantastical movie, and I'm just saying that no, it's shot on a generic highway.
There are fantastical elements.
Do you want it to be shot on Rainbow Road or something? I'm
Well, later in the movie, it gets fantastical.
It gets fantastic for one scene, and then towards the end, but
During
that's kind of
the what a lovely night it is, or whatever the crap it's called. It's pretty.
But that's
visually
fantastical kind of.
interesting.
But that's fantastical mixed with reality. There's only 1.5 moments where it becomes pure fantastical. Even in the lovely night scene, they're still in the same area. They're just kind of beat bopping and tap dancing along.
When you watch the trailer for it, literally every scene in the trailer is in that one montage at the end when it gets fantastical, and then when
that's a fault of the marketing because trailer companies don't directly associate with the studios. Trailer companies are their own separate thing, so that's a fault of the trailers and that company, not the studio for mismarketing it.
But it still established expectations and didn't deliver.
Yeah, but disregarding the trailer, I mean, look at it from a point. Don't think about the trailer when you're looking at the movie.
Okay, Matt, we should preface. I've seen you guys love Whiplash. Whiplash is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So La La Land comes out. It's made. Whiplash is kind of a universally praised movie. La La Land comes out. Damien Chazelle is amazing. I think this is his best directed movie, and I love
I
Whiplash.
completely disagree with that.
You think so?
Whiplash is much better directed.
Oh, can I throw up a Damien Chazelle hot take that you guys are both
here
going
we
to
go.
disagree with?
It's gonna be First Man. This is his best.
First
directed
Man.
movie or
First
something.
Man. Something.
Okay, I think his 3 movies are all A's. But they're like a 96, 95, 94 for me. And it goes La La Land, First Man, Whiplash.
Wow.
Really?
I love First Man. Love First Man. I want to eventually recommend this movie to talk about because I think it's so unique and interesting.
Yeah.
Whiplash is still great. I think it's his worst directed movie, but that's not saying like worse in a bad sense. It's just out of the A's, it's the lowest A. You guys comparing Whiplash to La La Land? You think Whiplash is better?
From a directing
I'd have-
standpoint,
What?
I
are
mean,
you kidding me? That ending sequence of Whiplash is better than anything in La La Land.
No, are you
That's the
kidding
most
me?
intense scene of the decade.
No, it's just, La La Land is better than that scene. I think the end scene of La La Land is better than the end scene of Whiplash.
Well,
they're
the
so
scene
good.
where she
I
walks
would.
away and smiles is better than
Yeah, that's a great ending. What are you talking about?
It's a fine ending. It's not as good as
No,
Whiplash.
I think it's great. I think it's a great ending, and I think Whiplash is a great ending as well. And it'd be really hard for me to determine which one is better directed because you got these outstanding performances in both pictures. Like it's unreal, and the style of La La Land is very distinct, and it's really hard to compare the two because they're kind of different.
Well,
And the way
no,
he
because
approached
they
it.
have very similar messages, but Whiplash's message is just way more, I think, honest.
Yeah, I'm
And
talking about the directing
Well,
though.
well,
oh,
that's the
okay.
point. That's the point I was bringing up, though, is you kind of have, I guess, Boogie Nights and now Whiplash in a sense. That's a more grounded, realistic story about the kind of the costs of success and fame. La La Land is not trying to be that realistic story. It's marketed. It's nowhere near trying to push that. I think
Yeah.
the opening scene establishes that this is not a realistic story in any sense. I mean, if you look at the play, if you look at the story, it's a kind of a fantasy. It's kind of
Yeah, but
that
it's
that
disappointing compared to Damien Chazelle's last work because I haven't seen First Man, but I think Damien Chazelle peaked with Whiplash because they follow very similar themes. It's just that Whiplash does it so much better and so much more honestly. I don't need La La Land to be a gritty, realistic movie. It follows suit with Whiplash because he's kind of writing about very similar themes of working hard for your goals and the sacrifice that comes with it. Just that I don't know how you can say La La Land is a better movie when Whiplash has the same message but is more unique with the way that's told and doesn't and is like more unexpected, I would guess.
I understand what you're saying, but I also think it's two different presentations of the movie, and now we're arguing basically just kind of preference. Whiplash is still an amazing movie. It's probably the best movie of 2014, up there with Birdman. I mean, that there's no kind of arguing that. But La La Land, it's the same themes, but a different presentation, and I visually and from like a filmmaking perspective, I kind of enjoy the fantastical kind of more lighthearted and kind of what's it called? Kind of musical element to these kind of themes. And I guess
But you said the fantastical moments are only like a couple minutes of the whole movie.
but they're still in there. It's the fantastical elements. The specifically are a few key scenes, but they kind of reside over. Specifically, we can talk about narratively. Sebastian and Mia. Sebastian is played by Ryan Gosling, if we haven't said that already, and Mia is played by Emma Stone. But their meetings are very kind of coincidental. I mean, she leaves. She goes to a party. We won't get into spoilers yet, but at the beginning, she has a great song. Someone in the crowd goes out. Her car gets towed, and she happens to coincidentally be walking along the street at the exact moment that Ryan Gosling is going against the cuff and playing his own jazz song. Boom! Coincidental meeting. Fantasy.
Well, he hits him with the car in the first scene.
Well, yeah, but that's not their first meeting. She flips him off and like, oh man, and then that's boom, they get that. Ryan Gosling blows her off, and then you have the great scene, which I think establishes their chemistry great when she requests Iran.
Yeah, that's a good scene.
That's a.
I feel like we're getting into spoilers already. I feel like we should just.
Well, that's only in the first
Not
like
be worried
20
about it.
minutes. That's only in the first 20 minutes. Okay, fine.
I know. I'm just saying it came out 4 years ago, so.
All right. Spoilers. Spoilers for La La Land.
Talking about that scene, I just want to say I love the narrative structure of the film. It starts out, Another Day of Sun, and then you follow Emma Stone up until the point where she walks into the restaurant, and all you can hear is the song that Ryan Gosling is playing. You don't see him.
Yep.
And then you cut to Ryan Gosling back at the freeway.
Yep.
And then you follow him up until that point, and then the second he starts playing the song, I mean, you can already assume that he's in the restaurant that they're going to meet, but the second you play the song, you're reminded, oh yeah, Emma Stone's there.
Yeah, there's also that element of when it's about to transition, you hear the horn kind of fades in, and then you cut back to Ryan Gosling's perspective, and kind of life. Ryan Gosling is unexpectedly really funny in this movie.
He's hilarious.
This is like, I also should say this isn't the best Ryan Gosling performance of 2016, even though he was nominated for an Oscar.
Nice Guys against Nice Guys. Yeah.
Nice Guys, he's great in Nice Guys. And there's that hint of comedy.
This is a better performance.
I don't know. I love La La
Land. From the musical standpoint and as well as his acting chops, I mean, he really brings
it
to
one song in La La Land. and lives in La La Land. He's going to City
Listen,
of Stars.
I have to. I might have to.
He's really showing his talent here. I mean, come on, he's playing. He learned the damn piano
He learned the
to do this
piano, but
movie.
he didn't. He should have put more effort on his singing.
He
I mean-
sings one song, "City of Stars."
No,
and
he sings the. Did you see the movie? It's
Yeah,
he
and
sings
you see-
the night of.
Yeah,
the night on the
lovely
town.
night. Yeah, and that's what, and that's a few little things, and it becomes a tap music.
No,
And then they have that scene where they're singing together on the piano.
Well, okay. We gotta get back. I agree that Nice Guys is a better Ryan Gosling performance. I think he's funnier. I also think he has kind of more depth. Like in this movie, Ryan Gosling, he's also not in a lot of roles. I looked up his IMDb. He's only in like 8 movies from 2000, from basically Drive onwards. Like he had no movies from 2007 to 2010. I thought that was cool. He's kind of doing like a Daniel Day-Lewis thing, but in this movie, he kind of, as much as I like him, he's kind of playing a very like stoic-ish character, which is kind of his old gimmick.
He's like very flippant as well. Like
yeah,
you can tell he's kind of playing it sarcastically.
yeah. But in Nice Guys, there's that element of kind of like slapstick comedy and humor, but also that kind of humanity in it. And I think there's more in the Nice Guys than there is in La La Land.
Yeah. Also,
Even-
Nice Guys has a better script. Like this is better.
I mean, it's a very visual movie. I guess I can agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's also Shane Black versus It's a
Like he has more to
funnier-
work with Shane Black's script.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He does.
I agree with that.
So, but yeah, that's Ryan
We should
Gosling.
do Nice Guys.
What we should do.
Yeah,
Nice
I wanted
Guys.
to watch that.
We gotta rewatch Nice Guys. I watched it at the beginning of quarantine. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But no, Emma Stone's amazing in this. This movie actually had 2 songs nominated for Best Original Song. Which one? Okay, we had City of Stars and we had Audition. The one at the end with Emma Stone where she gives it. Which
Yeah.
one do you think won?
Audition.
No. City of Stars beat
Oh, really?
Audition. Audition is a phenomenal song.
City of Stars is a better song though.
You think so?
I like jazz. Like I really like jazz music, so
Okay.
I can play City of Stars on guitar. Actually, that's how much I like that song.
Oh, dang. Okay. Yeah, it I was actually really surprised with that because I thought Audition was a better song and it's kind of more, I don't know, I have a pivotal character moment because that's like the her changing kind of thing. But no, I have to agree with Mark kind of like narratively. This story is a lot of fun and this movie's also a little over 2 hours. And I think this movie flies by. It's probably one of my favorite paced movies we've watched so far in this Film Fraud stuff. An hour and a half went by and I barely noticed it. I was kind of really transfixed for a lot of it. But there's also, I don't know what you guys thought about this because the first half of the movie, when they're kind of meeting and they're falling in love and they're dating, is that kind of fantastical Hollywood-esque style. But then it kind of shifts because then we get Ryan Gosling partially gives up his dreams to kind of sell out a little bit, and Emma Stone's career as an actress is falling through. And then the movie kind of shifts style from being that fantastical element to this kind of more grounded, kind of realistic story. Like even like the type of camera it looks like they use is different. Background sets are a lot more diluted. It's a really interesting shift that I think really represents the movie as a whole. And I was kind of a really big fan of that. I don't know what you guys thought.
No, yeah, I thought that was great. I definitely picked up on that as well. Yeah, it definitely grounded the film much more. And it's sort of, people say it glamorizes Hollywood. I guess it does to a certain extent, but it also, again, you bring up, the cautionary tale. I think that's more evident than ever with that part of the movie where it pivots to the darker themes.
I don't know how
guess.
much it glamorizes Hollywood, because I remember when the movie first came out, and I was reading that was a really popular criticism of it because the movie opened really slow, limited theaters, and kind of stuff like that. But if you go into it, the glamorizing Hollywood parts are kind of more like, oh, she gets a job really easily, and oh, he finds like his friend comes back and basically offers him a job. Like Ryan Gosling is living kind of a really shitty life. He gets fired. No one kind of wants to hear Jazz. Jazz is dying. Emma Stone, her one act play, no one really shows up. And it's kind of a miserable. People kind of make fun of her as she's in the dressing room and stuff like that. She can't pay back the theater. I think the kind of glamorizing Hollywood stuff is a little overblown as a criticism. I don't know, like Matt, what do you think? Because you really, again, what else didn't you like about this movie?
I mean, well, regarding the glamorizing Hollywood,
Yeah.
it doesn't. like, I mean, I think it glamorizes Hollywood because even though they struggle in the end, like they both end up getting exactly what they want.
Well,
and-
not exactly.
I haven't. I
together.
want to talk about that. I have questions about that ending scene, but
Continue, Matt.
Yeah.
yeah, keep going, man.
And I guess it's like from a visual standpoint, like you don't really see like the dirty side of Hollywood. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's glamorizing Hollywood, but there's definitely like some sort of glossiness over it, I would say.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that's the point, though. I don't think this because again,
Well, there's that part where they leave the coffee shop and they're walking down the street,
yeah,
and you see that film set.
Yep.
And like the actors are doing a scene, and then the scene ends, and then they're like, you see them bickering at each other.
Yeah.
I guess it shows you some of the dynamics.
but you also kind of do
going
see
on.
the dirtier
Unless you're seeing
side.
like gangs fighting in the streets, it's definitely glossing it up a bit.
Yeah. Well, there's that one scene where she leaves the party and the party's kind of really like it has that kind of sheen. It's like really pretty. And then she has to her car is towed and she kind of has to walk back. And you get those few shots where it's just dark and empty. And you're like, there's still life. Like that's the normal life here a little bit. It feels like she kind of walked into a different world. And then once she gets back to Ryan Gosling, that world kind of brightens up again. And I thought that was really just kind of interesting touches. This movie won Best Director.
Yeah.
Which I think is warranted. There's a lot of phenomenal directing in there. I mean, there's a surprising lot of one takes. Mar, one of your dogs is going crazy.
I have one dog, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Does Murphy bark anymore, Matt?
He barks when there's food out, but there's no food out, so it's not him.
Okay, yeah.
I don't even know where he is.
You don't know where Murphy is? So, all right. Hallmark scenes. What are your favorite scenes of the movie?
I ran when Emma Stone sings "I Ran."
When she sings
that's a great one.
That's a really great kind of chemistry. Because I immediately bought them as kind of like there's like an attraction there, which is kind of like dancing along to "I Ran" and making fun of him, and he looks miserable. I was like, boom, chemistry, great. What you guys think of? Matt has already given his thoughts about the opening song, which I really liked. What you guys think of the epilogue?
Oh, I loved it.
Loved it.
I thought it was great. I think watching it with my family, they're like, oh, they weren't together. It's so sad. But like the whole point of that, like that montage, like that fantastical montage, is to show you like, Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone are together. Emma Stone's this big actress, and then they go off and they have like this. They end up in that nightclub, which would have been Seb's, but you see like this guy at the piano and he's playing the song, and it feels so wrong.
Yeah.
And you realize like this should not be the ending, and then it cuts to reality, and you see Ryan Gosling on the piano, and then they have their little moment, and it makes total. Even though it's like bittersweet, it makes total sense. And it's like the only way I think this movie could have ended.
All right. I have what I think about the final ending. So there's a line early in the movie where basically Ryan Gosling talks about the history of jazz, where he's like, it was a bunch of people who speak different languages in a little place in New Orleans. The only way they can communicate is through music. And I was like, okay, that's really the only history of jazz we get, sort of. And then later in the movie, at the end, Ryan Gosling communicates his love to Emma Stone through the piano and kind of presents his fantasy of like what he wished would have happened, because only his stuff has changed. Everything still continues the same for Emma Stone. I feel like Emma Stone got what she wanted, but there's regret with Sebastian that he kind of gave I don't know, that was it for me, because everything with him changes. Everything with Emma Stone stays the same. He gives up his dreams to stay with her. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought that was interesting. I don't know. What'd you guys think?
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
No. I was going to agree with
I
Tyler.
didn't understand what are you talking about, like the dinner scene?
No, the final scene where he plays the piano and then it kind of does that fantastical element where you see like what could have been.
Yeah.
But it's more kind of from Sebastian's perspective, because everything that has changed is his kind of life. Emma Stone still stay the same.
Doesn't he get what he wants? Because doesn't she go to his jazz club?
Yeah,
but they're not together.
They're not together, which is what they wanted the whole time. They have the scene where they're on the bench where they break up, and they're like, "I'm always gonna love you."
I thought that the whole point of them breaking up had to do with the fact that they want their dreams more than a relationship.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Their relationship cannot survive. Their dreams cannot be achieved if the relationship continues. But I thought the ending was kind of Sebastian conveying to Mia, "Hey, like I maybe would have done things differently. Like, hey, look, my life I would change for you to keep yours the same. Like I'd give up my stuff. I don't know. I thought
That's
it
why I
was
was like,
it's
this
just
is
not-
what
I
I
think
could.
it's
This
just
is what
like-
I could have been.
well,
It's
but
like, but it's like pure fantasy.
but it's not what it could
Yeah,
have been.
it is.
But if it's what, because the whole point
the
is them
point.
is them achieving their dreams. That's the whole point of the movie. The relationship breaks up because of that. But in the main fantasy at the end, Emma Stone, Mia's dreams are still the same. She achieves everything that she achieves in real life. Sebastian's is the only one that changes.
So
If he
she
married
doesn't
her,
wanna
he
be
would
with-
get the club.
Yeah. But I thought there was like a little bit of regret for like, hey, I got my dreams, but I also wish like I did things differently and maybe didn't go for the dreams and stayed with you. That's
I
at
just
least like
interpreted as like he was happy with what he had, and like they were just going purely like it was just purely like, oh, this is what like an alternate reality sort of thing, like kind of showing her like, oh, I don't really know. I don't think it's him saying like, oh, I would do things differently. I think it's just him saying
Yeah,
like, oh, and it, what?
Yeah. Continue, Matt. Continue.
Oh, I would just say like, oh, I was saying like, oh, in a different world, like this could have been us. I don't think there's any bitterness really, or any
well, I don't think it's
regret.
bitterness. I think it's just like
I think
kind of regret a little bit from Sebastian's perspective.
Yeah, I think that montage sort of serves to like remind the audience, I guess. I don't know if it's like it's some sort of message that Ryan Gosling or Sebastian is trying to portray through his song. I think it's just sort of like, everyone's sort of like taken off by the fact that Mia comes home to like a different husband that's not Sebastian, and you're like, well, what happened?
Yeah.
And then they end up in Sebastian's jazz bar, and you're like, where did things go wrong? Why aren't they together? And then you see him on the piano. Well, they make eye contact. There's like a pause.
Very long
and
eye
then-
contact. I want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
I'd be very concerned if I was the husband because he
Yeah.
stares at her like deeply, and then at the end,
It's like, wait a second.
he's like looking, and he's like, "Let's go." And at the end, he's done playing, and he looks right at her, and he just looks sad. If I was the husband, because after that, he's like, "That was great. Do you want to stay for another one?"
Yeah.
And you're like,
Like, you idiot! Did you just not see what happened?
"Yeah, like they're sparks, man. They're in love." No, I don't know. Again, I love the scene. I love the presentation of it. I love every really thing about this movie, except for one element, which is a little nitpick criticism. Their fight when they go to the house is dumb. It's really poorly
Wait,
written.
you're talking about the dinner party fight or
The when he surprises her with the dinner and their
Yes.
argument,
yeah.
that is dumb because her argument is her thing was like you have to open your club, but for like a month he's working and making money to open his club. He doesn't give up on
She's
his
like dealing
dream.
in absolutes, and he's like, I'm just trying to make money right now.
Yeah.
Like, but what about your dreams?
And she's like, but that was a really dumb argument.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to blame it fully on Emma Stone's character. Like, I feel like Ryan Gosling, Seb could have just been a little more like calm.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of like he's very like he explodes first.
Yeah.
Like her logic is completely flawed.
But
like,
also he doesn't
like he
say.
explodes first. It's like they could have just said, this is what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and this is what you're saying.
Do you want to know how this entire argument and their entire breakup is prevented? She goes, well, why are you doing the band? Well, I want to open the jazz club, but I have to make money. Do you see my apartment?
Yeah.
Like, so he's like, I'm doing this for a few years to make the money. Because they have that scene where John Lennon, great performance by John Lennon, by the way. He was really good in this movie. Where he's like,
Lennon?
Yeah, Legend. John
Lennon is dead.
He's long dead. John Legend, where he goes like, hey, I'll pay you $51,000 a week. No, sorry.
$1,000.
$1,000 a week plus cut of ticket plus cut of shirts. And Ryan Gosling's like, "Doy?" And he's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Boom. Conveys right there. He doesn't have any money. So I thought the argument was really dumb. I thought it was really dumb. And it's kind of one of the things that ends and you're like, that's like the climactic breakup element to it. You're like, I wish it was like a little underdeveloped.
It feels like it just feels like something from Greece or
Yeah.
whatever. Like it just feels like high schoolers talking.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, these are grown adults, and it's kind of it's very irrational, and it feels like it's forced drama for the sake of putting in drama.
I agree.
They definitely could have found a more like they could have just been like, oh, he has to move somewhere else to go film a movie or whatever, but he's like, no, I want to stay here. No, or I want to stay here to open up my club or something. It's like, oh well, now we're stuck because we don't know where to go because we both need to be in 2 different locations or something more
Do you
practical.
they have the perfect thing for this. If he have cut out that scene, have the breakup be after he misses her show. Because then you have an excuse for her to kind of be like more emotional.
Yeah.
Like, you just missed my show.
That happens after. I forgot.
Yeah, you missed my show. No one showed up, and I got made fun of. Like, kind of one of those things. Like, I'm more like emotional. Like, it didn't work out because then she wants to go home, and then she gets mad at him. Like, what are you talking about? You gave up kind of your drink. You sold out. You don't want to listen. Like, her whole thing is like, you don't like the music that you're playing.
Yeah.
Boom. Better context for the argument right there. Instead, he's just like, yeah, I'm doing this for a few years, and she's like, well, what about the jazz club? It's like, well, I'm in my mid-30s.
Like he's like in his mid-30s.
Yeah, he's in his mid-30s, and he's Ryan Gosling. He's hot as hell. He's gonna keep going for a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like my one kind of like movie. Like, you were just so close to being perfection. Do you guys want to
find like the Night Out song to be good?
A Lovely Night?
Whatever.
Yeah. I thought it was awesome. I think it's probably one of that and Audition are the 2 best songs in the movie. I also, again, I like the fact that they put on tap shoes and they show him putting on tap shoes. I also like the fact that Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone clearly did all their own dancing.
I like the music in Lovely Night Out or whatever, but like I feel like Ryan Gosling's voice is more suited for City of Stars, where it's kind of mopey.
Yep.
And for me, he sounds kind of mopey in that song, and I feel like they could have used, because Emma Stone has a lot of energy in that song, and she has a lot of energy in all the songs she sings. Even though I don't really like the Thrill, like for the show or whatever that song is called either, but I don't know, I feel like Ryan Gosling could have had more energy while singing that song, or I don't know, but it's not in his character to have a lot of energy, so it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, let's say.
Yeah.
And like he just said he felt off compared to Emma Stone, who was really like bringing a lot of energy and enthusiasm.
The thing is, though, that's a scene where they're flirting, where it's like sarcastic flirting too, because he's like, "Oh man, what a great view! If only it wasn't with you." There should have been kind of like
she's being the same way too, but her tone is just much more.
That's the thing, though, is her tone works for it because it's that sarcastic humor and flirting, where she's like, "Yeah, duh, clearly doesn't want it to be with you." But you're right, it's too monotoned. If he had added kind of like a little like flippancy to it, I feel like it would have come across better. I agree with that.
But I like that. That being said, like I think his voice is like City of Stars is my favorite song in the whole. I didn't really like it in the context of the movie. Like I listened to like the soundtrack version.
Yeah,
I like that better. But like I feel like his voice is more suited for that, and like I kind of like just the more traditional jazz music kind of style of City of Stars.
Yeah,
like they kind of have like a lot of generic like musical songs in this that I feel like I wish it kind of focused more on like the jazzy elements of kind of what Damien Chazelle is known for.
I really also like the long takes in this movie, and they're not long takes done for the purpose of being long takes, which the biggest criminal of this in 2020 is Extraction. We're like, hey, look, we can do a long take because we can. A long take where it's very obvious when the cuts are. Yeah. This felt like
this is one take.
Yeah.
Look,
it's like take. Okay.
What are you guys' thoughts on 1917?
I haven't seen that yet. I don't have any thoughts on it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Neither have I. But I was gonna say it's like it's stupid. Worst movie 2019. No, the long takes in this movie felt purposeful. They felt like it was giving characters kind of the characters in the movie time to like emotionally develop over the scene. Like Audition is great. Like it starts on her and everything fades to black around her and it just kind of weaves around her. And it's just kind of great. And it really shows off Emma Stone's kind of like performance abilities, which I thought was great. But there's a lot of prep for this movie and a lot of kind of choreography. And I think it's all really well done. Lovely Night is, I believe, one take. Because it's a lot of the camera kind of like...
There's like some sketchy stuff when they leave the street and then go into the party.
Yeah.
That's not one take.
Well, no. When they actually perform the song on the bench with the kind of the fake looking background.
No, that was one shot.
Yeah, that was one shot. Is the performance itself, which I thought was really kind of cool. Because if you think of a movie like... You guys ever seen Moulin Rouge?
No.
No. It's kind of like that where it's a movie told by musicals. but the music is good, but a lot of it's like cutting and cutting, and it doesn't let kind of the music settle. Think about a movie like Cats, where the music is like the everyone's all over the place and stuff like that. Yeah, I just compared Cats to La La Land. Every episode, we should have a really shitty movie and compare it to the really good movie. I'm going with Extraction and La La Land.
I'll go with Man of Steel for every single movie we talk about.
You do that. Just
I always forget. I always forget that I watch Cats until I just read about it somewhere, and it just ruins my day.
The fact that we spent money on that. Yeah.
I can't. I genuinely. I'm in utter disbelief that we actually paid money to sit in the theater to watch that, and that was the last movie I watched in the theater before the pandemic hit. So
Terrible.
might be a correlation with the release of Cats and the COVID-19.
All right. Hallmark scenes. What are they? Let's give them each one. What's your
I have a favorite shot. What's your favorite shot
in the movie?
It's when Emma Stone leaves the bathroom at the party in the beginning of the movie.
Yep.
And she's walking out to the pool, and the camera's behind her.
Yep.
And like that white glitter is falling down.
Yep.
And it's just her slowly walking out with the music, and it's that rhythm, and just that 4 or 5 second shot. I love. I don't know why. I love it.
Whenever she's in regular motion, everyone's kind of in slow motion. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Everyone's like dancing and everything.
Yeah.
And
I think that's really
that
good.
was awesome. That was a great shot.
I said mine's the Iran scene.
It's the Iran scene. I think mine is Lovely Night. I think the elements of flirting and kind of, I like how simple the set is too, because a lot of the other like dance stuff is really kind of like bombastic, except for Audition. And I kind of like how it's just the sun is setting. I just really like it, and I think they're also their style, kind of their costumes, which isn't really costume, but Ryan Gosling's just in a suit. She's in a yellow dress. I think it's just really nice. It's also right on the cover. It makes a really great kind of cover shot too. But all right, we're introducing. It's time for guessing game, where I kind of have a little bits of trivia. Maybe not for every episode, but there's a few things here where I give you guys information. You guys just guess it. Who was originally cast in this movie?
Miles Teller.
Yes,
Emma
who else?
Roberts.
I knew it.
Miles Teller, not Emma Roberts. Emma Watson.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. Emma Watson backed out because she had to film Beauty and the Beast, which I feel like she regrets now.
Probably.
Except for that paycheck, because I think that movie made $1 billion.
Yeah.
This movie would not have worked with Miles Teller and Emma Watson. Not Miles Teller. Maybe with Emma Watson, because there's kind of like that doe-eyed element to Mia. I think Emma Watson could have done it. But Miles Teller, Sebastian has to kind of be like that kind of like charm, kind of that flair that kind of is associated with jazz. I don't think Miles Teller has it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Miles Teller is like broken. He has to play the character he plays on Whiplash, where he's just hunched over his drum set, hopelessly devoted to K.K. Simmons' character.
Yeah. We can't have him do this scene, the Lovely Night scene. It would feel too weird. All right. What was the budget of this movie, and how much did it make worldwide?
60 million budget.
Okay.
Probably like 200 million worldwide.
Okay.
I'll say 50 million, and it made 275 million.
Budget of 30 million, which is pretty good because the movie looks great, and then it made a worldwide of 446 million.
Wow.
People wanted to see this movie. It made 151 million domestically. People really want to see this movie for some reason.
Wow. That made a lot.
People like musicals.
Yeah. Well, The Greatest Showman.
The Star is Born, didn't that make gangbusters?
Yeah, if that made a ton of money. Greatest Showman had kind of those legs where The Greatest Showman's an awful movie, but it's a kind of a really good musical. Yeah. How many Oscars was this nominated for, and how many did it win?
Production design, director, best screenplay. Best screenplay? I can't see that.
It was nominated for best screenplay.
It was. Okay, so director, picture, screenplay, production design, best actress, best actor, best original song.
Yep.
And twice, so that's 8 Oscars. And was there another one?
There is 14 nominations. It won
14?
Yeah, it won for, I wrote them all down right here. It won for best directing, cinematography,
oh, right.
actress, original score was City of Stars. Oh, sorry, original song was City of Stars.
Yeah.
It won for original score and production design. It was nominated for best picture, which it won for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It was nominated for best actor, screenplay, film editing, which I think it should have won, costume design, sound mixing, sound editing, and then
best film editing.
I do not know. I did not look it up.
How dare you?
I can look that up quickly though. I can't. My phone's over there.
I'll look it
But,
up.
then it was nominated again for Best Original Song for Audition. Not Matt. Damien Chazelle had a writing
Oh, Mad
credit.
Max Fury Road.
Yes, yeah, no, that did not. Stupid La La Land did not deserve to win Best Editing compared to Mad Max Fury Road. Don't even start.
All right, you guys already. Did
Wait,
Ryan
La La
Gosling
Land beat Ben Max over costume design?
production design? It didn't win costume design.
Ugh.
All right, you guys already
How can
answered
you say
this.
that La La Land's best movie of 2016 when Mad Max Fury Road came out that year?
Mad Max Fury Road won Best Costume Design.
Yeah.
Good.
How many Oscars?
Wait, Mad Max Fury Road is 2015.
It will. No.
No, but 2016 Oscars.
Oh, yeah.
And this movie came out at the end of 2015. Although technically it's 2016. It came out in 4 theaters at the end of December to qualify. All right.
Wow. Mad Max Fury Road won 6 Oscars.
So did La La Land.
Wow.
I got you
What
there.
do you think about that, Matt?
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I think that the Oscars are right for half of those awards, and they're wrong for the other half.
All right. 2 more. Did Ryan Gosling play the piano? You guys already said that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he
learned
did.
For 4 months. Damien Chazelle had a writing credit on a really underrated and good movie in 2016. Another one. He's one of 5 screenplays.
10 Cloverfield Lane.
Clover Lane.
Damn it!
I
How'd you
knew
guys?
that.
Damn it! I was like, I found that. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Damien Chazelle actually wrote a really good movie called Grand Piano. I've seen with John Cusack.
John Cusack and not Elijah Wood.
Yeah, it's actually really fun. But yeah, he has a screenplay credit for 10 Cloverfield Lane, so we can now call that a Damien Chazelle movie. Yeah, that's the guessing game. So, grades, Matt, Mark, what were you gonna say?
Oh. Well, I'll say it after the grades.
All right, grades. If you don't know what we do, we grade stuff on an A, B, C, D, F scale. No plus or minuses. I think it makes it more fun. If a movie is all universally, we all give it an A, then we discuss it for our Hall of Fame. But if not, we kind of just do that. Mark, what do you give this movie?
I give it an A.
An A. What
if it
for?
was not already evident. I love everything about this movie, and I almost said film, movie, whatever.
Masterpiece.
No, I'm gonna call it a film because it's a film.
There you go.
Take
Take your stand, Mark. You do that.
It's a film that's a follow up glory.
No. I'm gonna take the Martin Scorsese route. I'm just gonna call it a picture. This is a great picture.
Can we vote him off?
This movie, the first time I saw it, this movie is about passionate people and just what they're passionate about and the ends they'll go to achieve their passions. And when I left the theater the first time I saw that, I was just so motivated to just go do what I was passionate about at the time. I don't even remember what it was, but I was just it profoundly affected me. And when a movie,
so much that you forgot that affected you.
So much. So when a picture does that, I get really excited. So this movie is without a doubt an A. It's a high A. I love it. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. That's it. That's all I have to say.
Matt, what do you give this movie?
It's a C. As someone who's seen a lot of musicals, both in movies and live, the music in this movie is probably on the lower tier of what I've seen, and the romance isn't that good. There's a lot of great production design in it, but it's just kind of lame.
Matt is now given
to our very loyal 8 subscribers that you hate fun.
Yeah, you hate fun and you hate classic movies.
Yeah.
I give this movie an unequivocal A. This is my favorite movie of 2016. It's my favorite movie of 2010s. I love everything about it. I'm a massive sap for these kind of movies. One of my favorite movies of 2010s is About Time. Love that movie. No, I like everything from the directing to the music to kind of the style. It just kind of radiates energy and passion, like Mark said. And I think that's really admirable considering we're now in an age of movies that just kind of feel like they're on a manufacturer belt. And it feels really refreshing to get that movie that has a clear vision. I think all of his movies do. I should specify. He's probably my favorite working director right now. He's the only director I think that has made 3 for 3 and all really great movies. But it's really, again, refreshing to see that there's a clear vision with that kind of going. Again, I give this movie an A. Those are our grades for the movie. Now we're going to what we've been watching. Do you guys have anything? Matt, what's our last?
Wait.
Wait, what?
While we're on the topic of Damien Chazelle, I just got to say that I'm really looking forward to his next movie based on title alone. Have you guys heard about it?
Babylon?
Yeah, it's Babylon. And right now, I'm looking at the IMDb page. There's 3 rumored people to be cast in it. Do you guys know who they are?
It's right. It's Brad Pitt, Emma Stone, and then I don't know the third.
Spider-Man. The
Tobey
first one.
Maguire?
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire's in it?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
We must be really desperate for actors.
Oh my god! He's back. Damien Chazelle's resurrecting Tobey Maguire.
It says it's in pre-production right now, and it's expected December 25th, 2021, which I highly doubt.
I'm in awe.
And Damien Chazelle is writing and directing, and yeah,
That'll be day
pre-production.
one. We're reviewing that day one. I'm making us go see it. We're gonna hold hands in hands and sing La La Land into the theater.
Yes, in our
It's
hazmat suits.
All right. What have we been watching? What have you guys watched since? Matt. No, Mark, you're not getting it. Matt, what have you watched?
Well, I accidentally played The Last of Us Part 2 for 3 hours 2 nights ago, and I accidentally played it again for another 3 hours last night. So I think I only have 2 more hours left of the game. I'm literally like 18 hours into the game, so I think the next episode will be my last of Us.
No, you have to
Yes,
play it again
and-
so we can get updates. Your second thoughts.
Yeah, hopefully there'll be DLC, and I can review that really really slowly. So I'm not going to talk about any controversies yet because I haven't beaten the game, and like something crazy could happen in the last 2 hours that could totally change my opinion. But the game has problems, and it's not a 10 out of 10. It's also not a 3 out of 10 like what a lot of Metacritic people were giving it. I'm gonna make a bold statement. Still having 2 hours left of the game to play, having already played for 18 hours. This game is better than Last of Us Part 1 purely because the gameplay is so much better. So much better. The story is weaker, but the gameplay is so much more fun in this game. It keeps me playing till like 1:30 in the morning without realizing it. And I think if you can look over some controversies about the game that I think are very over-exaggerated, you'll probably like it.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, it's fun. It's interesting to watch because your first kind of update on Last of Us, you're like, this is really great. Like, this is a lot of fun. Like, you talked about the throwing bottle mechanic. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah. I'm not giving like all my opinions because I definitely think there are flaws with the game that I'll get more into, but I think like I'll take notes for the next episode so I can have like my full review. So no one get mad at me for what I just said because like it's not my full thoughts yet.
I'm actually really excited to hear what you think because what you say depends on.
We probably could talk about it as well.
I don't know. I only know like a few things.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I know the one thing about it.
But depending on what you say, I might actually pick it up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, next review, I'll probably have it done.
So no movies.
Wait. Yeah.
Well, I mean, NXT is like the greatest thing of all time.
Mark, what have you been watching?
So Keith Lee just became double champion. He fought Adam Cole, who's NXT champion.
Did Adam Cole lose?
What? Yeah, he did. He was NXT champion for 450 days, and then he was doing it. And then he and Keith Lee, who's North American champion, had a fight, and the winner become double champion. And Keith Lee won, ending Adam Cole's reign. And now there's rumors like, is he going to go to SmackDown now? Is he going to move up the ranks to the main roster? We'll see. We won't get too excited, but things are looking pretty good. And also, New Japan Cup is next week, so expect a full review of New Japan Cup.
Yeah.
We're getting Evil versus Kazuchika Okada, and the winner faces Tetsuya Naito for the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. I'm rooting for Evil because he's New Japan's version of The Undertaker, except he kicks people in the dick.
Okay, I wanna throw up. I sent Matt a Snapchat at like 9 o'clock. I was like, I'm watching La La Land. Look how hot Ryan Gosling is. Yeah. And Matt sent a Snapchat back of the wrestling. And I was like, aren't you supposed to watch La La Land? And he said, and I quote, butchering it a little bit, I got done with that bullshit La La Land earlier so I could watch some true kind of art or true like fun. I was like, okay.
Because they were hyping up this match for like a month, and I was like, I'm not gonna miss it for this crap. And so, and I got
for this bullshit. You said bullshit.
Yeah, you said bullshit. La La Land.
Yeah, well, and I got to listen to Stephen Larson react to it live as well. It was a really fun night.
All right, Mark, what have you been watching?
Last night I was gonna watch Mean Streets, but
it's on Netflix.
I'm actually really excited to watch that, but I didn't end up watching that. My family decided that we should all watch Fantastic Mr. Fox on the projector. So I rewatched it, and every single time I watch this movie, I just love it more. I just think it's so good. It's so good. Oh my God. I think it's. I mean, I haven't seen all of Wes Anderson's films, but it's my favorite without a shadow of a doubt. So
Dang.
I'm glad I bought the Criterion.
We should round of applause. Is that all you've been watching? Just Fantastic Mr. Fox?
Yeah, that's all I got to see between. I saw La La Land, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I've watched a few because I have nothing to do with my life anymore.
Well, there's one thing you could do, but you just keep delaying it.
I keep delaying it. I actually watched one. I rewatched First Man. Love it. It's one of my favorite movies of 2018. I actually watched two movies. I'm interested. I don't know which ones you guys have seen, but I watched The Squid and the Whale and Francis Ha. Both are really short movies. Squid and the Whale 75 minutes and Francis Ha's 85 minutes. Squid and the Whale has problems. I think I'm not usually a big proponent on lengthening movies. Squid and the Whale needs an extra 20 minutes. It's too short. And I think that's because it's really great. Jeff Daniels is a douche and I love it. But there's a transition with the kids' characters and how they kind of start to develop. And it's basically the last 10 minutes. They develop and then that's it. I needed an extra 20 minutes of that. I also think the directing is terrible in the movie. It's awful.
Really?
Shots are just kind of there's a lot of times you can see him picking up the handheld camera shakes a little bit. And you're like, what's going on here? They're trying to do definitely more of kind of that guerrilla style. Hey, look, you're viewing the real story of this family. And I mean, anyone knows about Squid and the Whale, it's a semi-autobiographical story about Noah Baumbach's parents' divorce. But that guerrilla style, I don't think works for the movie. On the contrary, I loved Francis Ha.
Really?
Loved Francis Ha. I am not the biggest fan of Greta Gerwig. I think Lady Bird's a good movie. I adored Francis Ha. Maybe it's just because it's the story, the type of storytelling. Someone in their mid to late 20s, I think she's 27, kind of in that post-college malaise, kind of akin to something like The Graduate. But kind of finding your place and falling apart with a friend. And I was like, this is amazing. I thought narratively it was great. I thought Greta Gerwig was great, surprisingly. And then I really liked and respected the black and white style of it. And it's something I'm probably going to pick up on Criterion when it comes on sale.
That movie's on Criterion?
Yeah, same as Squid and the Whale.
Yeah.
Squid and the Whale I'll never buy, considering it's 75 minutes. But
it's weird because I saw Francis a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And at one point I paused it because I needed to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I was I thought it was towards the end. And I was only halfway through. I just never finished watching it. I don't know. I just didn't like it. Or it's not that I didn't like it. It's just that I was so indifferent towards it while I was watching it that I had no interest in finishing it. Just personally.
I can understand that, though. This is definitely not a movie for everyone because the character is not the most likable. I think that's the point. And again, the style is not for everyone, but I just have to really respect the kind of story that's going on here. And
I like Adam Driver in it.
Adam Driver's great in it. He's just this pompous kind of hipster dude.
Yeah.
I really loved Francis Ha. I also watched Guardians of the Galaxy, which is very kind of bleh. The first one, I was surprised. And I want to throw out this hot take. I'm rewatching with my younger brother Age of Ultron. The movie sucks. It's a bad movie. Throwing that out there right now.
It's a movie that had so much potential.
It's just everything in that movie feels unnatural. It feels like Marvel movies have that thing where you can very clearly tell they're on a soundstage. But this one's in that awkward middle ground where between the first few movies were kind of their own thing, and then they slowly start to transition to that kind of digital style where you can tell, but there's at least some flair in it. Age of Ultron is ugly. Everything feels
so ugly.
It's so ugly. Everything feels so forced. All the dialogue is clunky and awkward. It's not funny, and there's some good moments. I do like the Hulk Iron Man fight.
Hulkbuster.
The Hulkbuster, and I do like the end fight, and I think Ultron's cool, but it's just everything about the movie feels off, and I think it kind of sucks.
I'm kind of nostalgic for this movie because
I
told the story to you guys, but for the audience, I guess if they made it this far, I went to Ireland in 2015, and they had the movie 2 weeks early.
Yeah.
And my dad's like, "Hey, you want to see our Age of Ultron tonight?" I'm like, "You idiot! It's come out for another 2 weeks." And he goes, "No, it's in the paper." I was like, "Oh my god, it comes out! It's premiering tonight here." And I literally texted you guys so much, making fun of you, especially Tyler, because I was because this is when we were all peak Marvel fanboys.
Yep.
And I'm like, "I've seen the movie 2 weeks early," and then so we go to see it, and the movie is packed with people from probably from another country because they all didn't speak English.
Yeah. Were the
and, like,
subtitles?
it didn't have subtitles, so like whenever a dialogue would happen, like they're very quiet, they're very respectful during the movie.
Yeah.
But whenever there's like dialogue, like they would just clear out to go to the bathroom or walk around outside. And as soon as the action started up, they all come back, and there's like tons of them. So it was a pretty funny experience. Like I'm kind of nostalgic for that movie because it was just like it was kind of cool.
When was the last?
Speaking of,
when was the last time you've seen it, Matt?
Yeah, a long time.
I'd urge you to rewatch it. I wonder how you'd
Yeah.
hold up.
I mean, like I've seen like it on TNT, like clips of it, but like I haven't seen it as a full movie for a long time. So yeah, maybe if I rewatch it, I won't like it as much. But
Yeah.
Speaking of seeing movies early, I remember when I got to see Justice League a week early before even critic reviews are out. I got like this like thing went under my door. It was like Justice League is playing at the theater, and so I got tickets.
Near your college, right? We should
Yeah.
specify. Yeah.
Yeah, and I waited in line for 2 hours, my buddy, and there's a really long line, and I was thinking to myself, like, there's no critic reviews yet. You know, I've only seen the trailer. Like, I have no indication if this movie's bad or good. And I was like really hopeful going in. And I think I remember like the first scene where you get that like that kid runs up to Superman. He's like, "Hey, Superman!" And then like Henry Cavill turns around
like,
and he has
what is it, young man?
Hi.
He's got that big lip.
Yeah.
And I was like, they gave us like a faulty like copy of this movie. I don't know what the heck I'm watching. And then the hour and 59 minutes because they needed it to be under 2 hours. And I just remember walking out of that film and I was like, I am ready for this shitstorm of reviews.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. I felt like I had some sort of forbidden knowledge for like about a week until the reviews came out.
I was rewatching scenes from it a couple days ago, and like there's a part where like because this is peak Ben Affleck just being checked out of life.
Yeah.
And he's driving. He's like I'll show these bugs who's boss. And he just get like the whole like he's just the whole like I'm done.
Yeah.
Like
He
tone
probably
of voice.
put on
It
the
was
mask
so
in his
funny.
car and then put a
Yeah.
camera right there and he's like, I'm gonna kill the bugs. And they're like,
Yeah.
go fix
It's
it.
like
He's the best part about Batman vs Superman,
Yeah,
and
he's
he's
trying
the
it.
worst part of Justice League.
Have we ever had confirmation that it's Ben Affleck in that final shot, not the Pillsbury Doughboy?
oh, it's the Pillsbury Doughboy.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can confirm that.
That final shot of Justice League, Mark, do you remember when they're all like perched up and they're like, we're the Justice League? And it it pans and it just looks like a fat Batman, where it just doesn't look like Ben Affleck.
Really? I can look at that again.
I'm convinced that's not him. Convinced, because it's a Batman that has just put on like 30 pounds. But no, Justice League sucks because it's the most nothing movie that's ever existed.
I think the cyborg actor said that like recently that Joss Whedon was like a tyrant on set. Like he was just crazy.
I heard about that.
Is Josh Whedon a bad director? Let's have that conversation. I say yes.
He directed. I only saw like the Avengers and Avengers 2. I don't know what else he's directed.
He did Firefly, which I've seen some of, but I wasn't crazy
for
about
movies. Because Avengers is not a well-directed movie, and
He's like he wrote it too. He's a decent writer.
He's a good writer.
And he's like there's nothing particularly bad about his directing, I would say, but he's just not particularly interesting as a director. He's not like a James Gunn or something.
Well, the thing is, like, I'm pretty sure it's well known that he had a lot of like issue with Marvel during Age of Ultron. I'm pretty sure he was done, but they kind of like made him make another movie, which I think is why Age of Ultron looks terrible.
And they kept making him put in like hints to other movies as well. So that had to do with it as well.
They're not
He was also supposed to direct Batgirl, and then he just backed out because he was like, I don't have any ideas. Did you hear about that?
I know he backed out of it. I didn't know it was because he ran out of ideas.
Yeah, he was like, I don't have a script. I don't have any ideas. Bye.
He also said like society made him cheat on his wife. There's like he's like this crazy person.
Go Josh
He's a
Whedon.
weird dude.
What was that one show he created in like the 80s that everyone loves that isn't
Buffy.
that great?
Vampire Slayer.
Is Buffy a good show?
I don't know. I haven't heard it's good.
Well, yeah, that's our Josh Whedon. I would love one day if we just did like a 10-minute episode where we just quickly rank the Marvel movies so we don't have to talk about them ever again.
I don't ever want to.
Yeah.
No.
Listen, I can tell you right now, I know which my best one is. It's Winter Soldier. But yeah, that's what we've been watching. Matt, what's our call to action?
subscribe, like, comment your favorite film fraud, but also stay tuned for the next episode because we're talking about something that we're all experts in, mainly me, but we're all pretty well knowledgeable in.
I'm an expert now.
I'm not.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you know how there's
you thought Patrick Payne's magic penis was in
okay.
both the books and the show?
I got the show and the book confused.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's not what the geniuses do they?
Okay. Next
I have
week.
just too much information stored.
Next episode. Here's the plan. By the way, Matt, it's Game of Thrones. We're gonna talk about George R. R. Martin, the show, the books, Winds of Winter. Just kind of talk about it because we're all have a really big history with it. If we're going in order of fans, you go Matt, you go Mark, and then there's me. I'm like above the casual show fan, but not like the book fan.
Yeah,
that Matt
Tyler
is.
like season 6. That's all I need to know about him.
I don't like season 6. I like half of season 6. We'll talk about it.
Tyler's like, dude, the scene where Cersei blows up the set was so awesome.
No, okay. All right,
Matt, you're like Howland Reed. No.
Yeah.
God damn it. Well,
Where's Pierre C-Star? Bring back Wave.
We'll save it for next episode.
Yeah, so it's gonna be like a 1-year retrospective after season 8 and like what impacts Game of Thrones has had on or lack thereof has had on pop culture since then. Someone's winter talk.
Yep.
And,
we'll have some fun.
Yeah, we'll have some fun.
And then after that, we're gonna talk about The Old Guard and Palm Springs, which we looked up before recording. Apparently have both really good reviews. Shocking. We're gonna talk about those are two big releases. And then after that will be my director recommendation, which I won't give away yet. But after that, and then we'll kind of deal with all that.
Tyler, did we ever talk about a good new movie on the old Film Frauds podcast for the Collegian?
No.
This might be the first time we're talking about a good new
I
movie.
know. I'm excited. Well, I mean, not in the old one, but we talked about The Five Bloods is a good movie.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Five Bloods is good, but that's one out of
a lot.
100.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. Those are our next few episodes. That's our next 3. So that's the plan. I won't give away our director recommendation just yet and what movie we're going to talk about. But it should be fun. It's Christopher Nolan and Insomnia. We're talking about Christopher Nolan and his first major movie, Insomnia. All right, guys. Remember the call to action. Comment your favorite film fraud because we want to validate ourselves.
Currently, I'm winning with 1 vote.
God damn it. Please vote for me because I love
Alex.
La La Land.
Alex, please vote for me.
No,
Okay?
you already voted. It's done.
We'll vote again.
Just think
It
about
changes every
this.
video.
If you're a random
Alex,
audience member,
vote cutest film fraud. Wait, no, Mark already did not name me cutest film fraud.
if a random viewer watches this, just know I love all of these movies.
Yeah.
And I love you.
Well,
Thank
they
you
have
guys.
taste, so they won't vote for you because of that. And
All
I
right.
don't even mean that. Like I don't hate. I give it a C. Like it's a decent movie. 7 out of 10.
Nope, you hate it. You have a different opinion than me, therefore you hate it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This has
I
been
love
Film
it
Frauds.
unconditionally.
This has been Film Frauds. Thank you guys for watching. See you for
Peace
Game of
out.
Thrones.